Okay, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to find an old grade book, regardless of whether or not you were the teacher of the previous course. So a couple of reasons that you might want to find an old grade book. Perhaps you want to do some data analysis, maybe look at exam scores before and after you did something and you've already closed out that course. You also might have offered to a student to backfill their grades if they just didn't have time to complete a course and they failed it and they're back in your course. That's not always a great idea, but sometimes that's a nice thing that we can do for students. Sometimes it's something that we do as part of an IEP, so it might be required. So it's really important to know how to navigate back to an old grade book. Okay, so there's a couple things. If you were the previous teacher of a course, you can go in here to all courses, and all of your courses, your past enrollments, are here. So you could just go into the course that way. Let's say, however, that you were not the previous teacher. You would need to go into your admin tab and click on I Succeed Virtual High School. So I wasn't the teacher for consumer math last quarter, so I'm going to go in here and just start typing consumer math. And then here's the kind of tricky part. I'm going to close this. You do need to actually make sure that you are getting the right quarter's course, okay? So if I'm in the summer of 2020, I want to look at Consumer Math A for quarter 4 for the 1920 school year, okay? So I've selected that, and here I am. I've opened up to that. If I go into grades, I can open up this grade book, and typically if no one's gone in there, or if you haven't gone in there, this is what you'll see. You'll just see a totally blank grade book. Like this is just a test student, okay? To actually see the old grade book, you do have to go into that cog and click on Show Concluded Enrollments. And then you can look at all the students in there and you can see their grades. This view of the gradebook isn't a great way to grab grades to backfill. It might be a really great way to export grades if you want to do data analysis, so you can do that. But if you were just looking at one student and you wanted to backfill that particular student's grades, you would just simply click on their name and it comes up with more of the chronological view. If you've got two screens, you can have this screen open on one, or this page open on one screen and your current gradebook open on another screen, and you can just go through and add the grades to the gradebook that way. If you don't have two screens, it's not a big deal. You can just print these grades off. I would recommend doing it like multiple pages to one sheet of paper. Otherwise, you'll use like 6 sheets of paper just for one gradebook. But that's an easy way to do it. And in fact, you could maybe, like the student clearly didn't finish much of the course, so you could just have it print whatever assignments that student completed. So it usually doesn't take very long to backfill grades because you're doing it typically for a student who's done less than half the course, because that's why they failed. When we do backfill grades, please keep in mind that you wouldn't want to backfill a grade that is not a passing grade. So you'd only backfill grades that the student had done well on. So you've gone in and you've backfilled the grades. Here's the super kind of key piece of this, that once you've backfilled a student's grades, because of course sequencing, that student is going to be locked and they're going to have to click through all the assignments that you've backfilled unless you unlock their sequencing. So let me go to a current course. And the way to unlock sequencing for a student, this is very important, is to go into the People tab. And you have sequence control. So all of these students their sequence is controlled. They have to click through in order. I'm trying to see. Oh yeah. So this student, Michaela Torres here, for the summer, I did backfill her grades. So I clicked on this and it made it green, and I unlocked the sequencing so that she could go directly to the assignment that she left off on, or look through her grade book and see which assignments don't already have grades, and she can get to them that way. I do not advertise to these students that they now have control to kind of cherry pick the course and go through it in whatever order they want. I definitely let them know that they can just go right to their next assignment and work on it. But I think most of them are kind of trained to have to go through it in order. If you're telling a student that you've backfilled it, they still have to click through it unless you do this unlock sequence control. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And that is how you would access an old grade book and backfill grades if you need to. Thanks.